Something that would be kind of cool is if we could have a way, an easier way, of viewing the database contents without having to log in and view the database manually. Because right now what you have to do is, if you want to view the records, you go into, log into your virtual machine, and open up MariaDB, and then we can do that, and you can see that we have the current records in our system. But it'd be nice if there was a faster way of doing this, and this is where the power of database systems really comes in handy. So before we get started, what you should have is, if you do an LSL, you should have this mirth.php file. And this is the file that's going to be used to generate a dynamic web page that will show you the current records in the database. But before we can do this, we need to install a few more things. So go ahead and type in su to elevate your permissions to root user. And you want to apt install php and php mysqli, and then Apache 2. And go and press Y to start installing this. So now that everything's installed, what we can do is do an IPA to get our current IP address. And let's open up our web browser and see if we can get the Apache default page. So I'm going to take the IP address here and type it up into the address bar at the top. And in this case, you don't want to have the :8080 after that. You just want to press space and then enter. And you can see here we have a new web page on our server, and it's just the default Apache 2 web page, just to make sure that everything works. So we can go back to our virtual machine here. Now we want to install the PHP file into the directory for the web browser. So we're going to do cd /var /www/html. And if you do ls, you can see we have an index.html. This is the default file for Apache 2. So what we want to do is we want to copy over the PHP file into this directory. So we're going to do cp, and then we're going to go back to the mirth directory, so /home /mirth /mirth files, and then /mirth.php. And then you want to just type a period, and that just means copy this file into the current directory we're at. Now if you do LSL, you can see we have the mirth, the index.html, and then the mirth.php file. Now one thing to do before you get started is to nano and then open mirth.php and take a look at it. For the most part, I went ahead and took care of most of this, so you don't need to worry about it, but what you do need to pay attention to is the lines right in here for the server, user, password, and the database name. And if you've made them something different, you'll need to modify it for this example. One thing to note right away, though, you can see the password is in plain text, so this example should only be for an example. This is not set up to be used on a production machine. Not that I see it ever would be, but this is definitely not a secure PHP file here. This is just an example. So it's connecting to the database with the user mirth, with the password, and selecting the database mirth, and then it's doing the query select star from patient, which is the same query we did before. Except this time what it's doing is it's taking the results, instead of printing it out on the screen, it's going to be storing it inside of PHP. And then through here, you can see this while loop here. It's going to be taking the values from our query and filling out these rows here. So we have the ID, first name, last name, pulse rate. All of these have to match the values of the SQL database table. So if you've named them something different, Like if you don't have the p_sys in your data in your SQL database, you need to change this file in order to have it work. But if it all looks fine, you can just press Control X and go back to the main menu here. But now we can, well, first we should make sure that Apache's running, so do systemctl status Apache 2. And you can see it says Apache 2 is active running, which is good. That means it hasn't crashed. So we can press Q to get out of this, and then Control D to go back to our Mirth user, and then Control D again to log out. And now we can switch back to our web browser. And if I open up, it's still on the default page here, but if I add more to our address bar here, if I do /mirth.php and press enter, you can see we now have the results from our database showing up as a web page. So if we took another reading from our Welsh Allen and sent it over to the server, it would automatically pop up as a new record on this web page. Alright, so what I did is I just took another reading, and I'll go ahead and send it over to the database. So switch back to the web page here, and I'll go to the Welsh Allen and send it over. Okay, and now I can do a refresh on this page, and you can see it has the new record up here.